Yo, what's good YouTube? Zamcrow here, aka Scoop, back with the Pokemon Battle Federation, and we've got Season 9, week number 8, and we're facing off against Bacon Chest, or just Bacon, coach of the St. Kilda Serperiors, and he's got a nasty squad. I don't know how the league allowed him to draft this. Take a look at it. Down below, you see the Garchomp, Mega Diancie, Tornadus Therian, Scolipede, Metagross, Alolan Persian, Vaporeon, Virizion, Delphox, Heliolisk, and the Stoutland. So them first three picks are the big ones, and then Scolipede and Metagross and Alolan Persian are amazing in their own right. Scolipede is a fantastic Z-move user, absolutely fantastic, and it is one of his Z-move users alongside of Virizion. He's got 4 potential Stealth Rockers in Garchomp, Mega Diancie, and Metagross. Did I say 4? I meant 3. He's got Toxic Spikes though, and Scolipede, which is really nice for him. Wish support in Vaporeon, really nice there as well. Parting Shot. Virizion is really stout, whether it be like Calm Mind or Swords Dance. And then there's always potential for Mega Diancie to be like a Rock Polish variant, Sub Endeavor, Calm Mind, whatever it may be. Garchomp as well, could be Sub Swords Dance, could be like a Salac Berry variant, could just be Swords Dance 3 attacks, could be Stealth Rocks 3 attacks, could be Roar or Toxic or Dragon Tail, all kinds of different things Mega Garchomp can do as well. I mean, excuse me, not Mega Garchomp, but regular Garchomp. Tornadus Therian with its Regenerator ability is a huge nuisance for teams to deal with. However, I have Tapu Koko, which gives me a little bit of leeway there, fortunately. However, it could be a Life Orb, could be Assault Vest, Rocky Helmet, all kinds of different things that Tornadus Therian does, and it does it well. Scolipede, like I mentioned, it gets, first of all, a Baton Pass, a Speed Pass, Swords Dance Pass. It can't pass a Swords Dance and Speed, but it can pass Swords Dance alone. So if it's like a Speed Boost variant, I don't have to worry about it being like a Swords Dance Baton Pass variant. However, it can pass its own speed though. It can pass its speed into something like Mega Diancie or Garchomp or Delphox or Stoutland. Even Metagross could be a huge problem, so on and so forth. Big issues there, and again, it could just be a Swords Dance breaker in its own self, with like Z Savage Spin Out or Acid Downpour, whatever it may be, Continental Crush, whatever it may be for that. Metagross gets Bullet Punch, another Stealth Rocker on the squad there. Very nice Pokemon overall. Could be a decent Tapu Koko switch in terms of being like a Dazzling Gleam or a non-Thunderbolt switch in, I suppose. My opponent's really limited on electric type switch ins. Garchomp being his best, his only immunity, and then Virizion being, well, I guess Heliolisk as well, being the other 2 resistances, which do not resist, none of them resist Dazzling Gleam. So Tapu Koko looks to put in some work this week. Speaking of Tapu Koko, it is the captain of our squad alongside Kieran Black, and then we have Mega Heracross, Nidoqueen, Ferrothorn, Swampert, Mesprit, Mismagius, Savali, Alamomola, and the Entei. And this week we've decided to bring Tapu Koko, Kieran Black, Mega Heracross, Nidoqueen, Ferrothorn, and Swampert. I didn't just mention it, but you guys can see it on screen. Koko and Mismagius are our Z-move users. And again, speaking of Tapu Koko, we were afforded to run a Modest Nature this week and outpace up to Tornadus Therian, max special attack with a little bit of HP investment, and this allows us to do the most damage. I'm not necessarily trying to take attacks, but I can switch into Hurricanes from Tornadus Therian and Roost Off repetitively. So this is our Tornadus switch in if it comes down to it. We do have Taunt on this bad boy. We can prevent Garchomp from getting up rocks. We can prevent Metagross from getting up rocks or setting up a Rock Polish or any kind of weird shenanigans like that. We can prevent Vaporeon from clicking Wish. However, that's not really the end game or anything. We just click Thunderbolt versus that. Virizion, we can prevent it from setting up, which is really nice. And same thing for the rest of his mons, especially things like Delphox that could actually take advantage of you know, the electric terrain being gone, and then Dazzling Gleam and Thunderbolt being my only way to hit that. So taunting that, preventing it from, clicking Calm Mind or something weird, puts us in a solid position. But we also have the Electrium Z for this matchup, where we can bop things with the Gigavolt Havoc, modest max special attack, Electric Surge boosted Thunderbolts, do quite a bit of damage to his squad. Like I mentioned, he has no immunities outside of Garchomp, and then everything else on his squad is basically going to be 2-hit KO'd unless they're specifically designed to not be, such as like a Heliolisk or something like that, maybe a Metagross, an Assault Vest variants or something. However, we do have the Gigavolt Habit, like I mentioned, plus Dazzling Gleam, so not too much it can do about Tapu Koko. It can really put in the work here. Next up, we have Kieran Black, and we're rocking a Choice Scarf variant. Really could have come in clutch last week. Hopefully it can come in clutch this week, if it comes down to it, that is. We're rocking a Rash Nature with Rash Nature with max special attack. A little bit of speed investment allows us to outpace Metagross if our item was to get knocked off, or he was to be a random Choice Scarf Metagross. We're setting at a decent speed tier to outpace that. Got quite a bit of HP investment, and our moves of choice are going to be Outrage, Ice Beam, Earth Power, and Fusion Bolt. But we'll talk about Fusion Bolt a little bit later on in the match, I'm sure. And we've got a Choice Scarf, like I mentioned, allows us to outpace the majority of his squad, if not his entire squad. Choice Scarf Ice Beam could catch his Garchomp off guard, opens up holes for Tapu Koko. Locking myself into Earth Power is really nice in the late game versus things like Scolipede, Metagross, Mega Diancie, Delphox, Heliolisk, things like that. So Outrage is really nice. Once Mega Diancie is gone and Metagross is weakened, I can spam Outrage and it looks to be actually phenomenal. And then Ice Beam is pretty much the move of choice until we get into the late game. Just spam Ice Beam over and over and over, and then we can go from there, I suppose. Next up, we have Heracross, which is an Impish nature, max HP, nearly max defense with a little bit of speed investment there. We've got Sub, Toxic, and we can Toxic up on the Tornadus Therian, or we can just Rock Blast and blow it away. Just depends on what the situation calls for at the time. Toxic is mostly for things like Virizion and the Garchomp. And then Close Combat and Rock Blast are the two moves of choice. He doesn't have any resistances to both. Close Combat is very spammable. His two resistances being things like Tornadus, Scolipede, and Delphox, which get blown away by Rock Blast. So really nice Mega Heracross set. Very, very bulky to switch into regular Garchomp repetitively, and could potentially take hits from Z Scolipede as well, which is really nice. Next up, we have Nidoqueen with a Shuka Berry. This is our designated, not necessarily designated, but this is our initial switch in to Mega Diancie with Stealth Rock, Sludge Wave, Earth Power, and Ice Beam. I understand that he could be Magnet Rise. I don't expect Magnet Rise versus my squad. I expect him to have Moonblast, Earth Power, Hidden Power Fire, and then potentially Rock Polish. I don't expect him to have Magnet Rise though, as Ferrothorn is my initial switch in. Swampert could have Scald if that was my switch in as well. So I don't expect him to have Magnet Rise, but I'm fully aware that he could. And if he is Magnet Rise, then Sludge Wave will have to do the job. It's neutral thanks to his Fairy type, so I don't have to worry about his rock, resistant poison. So we'll be alright there. Ice Beam is for the Garchomp specifically, and then Sludge Wave and Earth Power just moves of choice. Just spammable stab with the sheer force boost. There, it's really nice versus things like Garchomp, Mega Diancie, Tornadus Therian after rocks. It's really nice for Scolipede even. Metagross, a non-speedy Metagross that is. I don't want to get bought by Zen Headbutt or anything like that. Just a really nice mon overall. And max HP, max SPDF allows us to take on Mega Diancie pretty comfortably. Moonblast into Earth Power into Earth Power can never knock us out. Moonblast into Earth Power doesn't knock us out if we were to get some predictions wrong or even try to predict or something like that. So next up we have Ferrothorn with Gyro Ball, Bulldoze, Aerial Ace, and Leech Seed. So initially I did not have Aerial Ace on here. I had Spikes, but noticed that Virizion could cause me problems, and I didn't want that thing to always switch in or anything like that. So I threw Aerial Ace on this bad boy, and we've got a pretty cool set now. Max HP, max defense with a little bit of SPDF investment, and an Akka Berry. The Akka Berry allows us to take Flamethrowers or Fire Blast from Garchomp, Heat Wave from Tornadus, Hidden Power Fire from Mega Diancie or Metagross, or potentially even Scolipede. Can take a Flamethrower from Delphox and hit it with the Bulldoze there, if it was Choice Scarf or something like that, and it would slow it down. It would make our Choice Scarf Kyurem faster than a Choice Scarf Delphox. It would make Tapu Koko faster than a Choice Scarf Delphox after the Bulldoze speed drop, things like that. So something I definitely considered in prep. And same thing for Metagross. Bulldoze is not only weakening it, getting a little bit of chip damage every time I hit it, but he's taking Iron Barb damage as well. Plus his speed is being lowered. Well, I guess not necessarily for Metagross, since Metagross has the clear body. But Bulldoze can, like I mentioned, slow down. Mega Diancie can slow down. Delphox can slow down the Heliolisk. It's really nice to just slow things down. I don't see myself necessarily trying to slow down Scolipede, as its speed boost plus my Gyro Ball should do the job for the knockout there. And Leech Seed's really nice, as Tornadus could be a solid switch in, especially if he's rocking Helmet. And it could just give me some much needed recovery back on Swampert. And Swampert, speaking of Swampert, we do have a leftovers variant here, max HP, max defense with a bold nature, Scald, Ice Beam, Toxic, and Protect. Scald's there for the majority of his squad. Ice Beam is there for the Virizion and the Garchomp. Obviously, Vaporeon hard walls that, so I do have Toxic on this bad boy as well. I know that Vaporeon could get Heal Bell. I don't know if he's got room for Heal Bell. I feel like he needs Scald, Wish, Protect, and then something to maybe catch Alomomola with Toxic, or potentially running a Hidden Power Fire on Vaporeon, since it does have base 130 special attack, so it's not to be slept on. But yeah, that being said, that's our squad, and I guess we can go ahead and hop into the replay and see how the battle went. I don't think there's anything else I need to necessarily discuss about the matchup. Anyways, yeah, that's going to be it. Let's go ahead and hop into the replay and see how things went. Alright, so here we go with the replay. My opponent chooses to bring Garchomp, Metagross, Virizion, Delphox, Tornadus Therian, and the Vaporeon. So immediately I noticed he had no Mega Diancie and no Scolipede. Takes a ton of relief off my shoulders, and no Alolan Persian, so I don't have to deal with parting shot shenanigans. So I feel really, really great about this, actually, once we got into the team preview here. And notice that Tapu Koko really, really puts in the work, and then the rest of my squad should be able to deal with the remaining, what's left when Koko gets done anyway. So I noticed that he brings two potential Stealth Rockers in Garchomp and Metagross, both of which can be beaten by Swampert. So that's something that I definitely considered here at matchup. Also noticed that he could lead with like Vaporeon, he could lead with Delphox, he could lead with Virizion, expecting my Swampert lead. So I actually decided to lead off with Tapu Koko, and reason being was because had he led with anything other than Garchomp, I just get free Gigavolt Havoc. Now, I don't expect him to switch into Garchomp, as it's his only electric resist, and turn 1 predictions could be devastating, especially if he got his Garchomp blown back on turn 1. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to click the Z move and see what this Delphox is trying to do. I do outpace the Delphox 100%, and I go for the Z move here, and he is not Sash or Scarf, and we're able to pick up an early knockout there. Really nice for us to get rid of Delphox on turn 1. That really opens up holes for Ferrothorn, Mega Heracross, and even Swampert, depending on what kind of set that was. Like Psychic into Grass Knot could potentially knock us out. So he brings Garchomp in hard here, and I don't want to take an Earthquake, so I'm going to hard switch into Swampert as he just gets his Rocks up. So really nice play by him. I'm going to go for the Toxic here, predicting Virizion or Vaporeon to come in, and he does go into his Virizion, and we're able to get a nice Toxic off on that. And he goes for the Leaf Blade here. I felt he would either go for the Leaf Blade or the Sacred Sword or Close Combat or something like that, predicting my Ferrothorn to come in. And what I could do is just go into my Tapu Koko and roost off the damage. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go for the roost and see what he wants to go for. He goes into his Garchomp though, so nice. I'm going to hard switch out back into my Swampert here, expecting him to do the same. and he goes for the Earth Power. And now predicting his Virizion to come back in, I'm just going to click Ice Beam. It also did the most damage to Garchomp as well, so that was a fine play by me. To just click Ice Beam there. It does a little bit of chip damage to the Virizion. Virizion is very, very, very bulky, so every little bit of chip is very nice, and it's gonna be the key here on my next play. I'm gonna go for the Protect as I get a little bit more toxic damage racking up on the Virizion, and now I'm gonna hard switch into Ferrothorn, expecting another Leaf Blade, and my Iron Barbs plus toxic is starting to really whittle him down. I'm going to double into my Tapu Koko here as he goes out into his Tornadus Therian. So this is really good for me. I suppose going Koko not only covered his fighting type attack, but it also covered the double into Tornadus Therian. There's no way that he was going something like Metagross or Garchomp on this turn. So going into Koko was a fine play. Again, catching him, it's just the perfect turn as he goes into his Tornadus. I get a free Thunderbolt here, but I'm going to go for Dazzling Gleam, expecting his Garchomp to come in. Plus, Tornadus wasn't doing much to us either. So the Dazzling Gleam pops his Roselli Berry. Seeing his Roselli Berry, I know he's not Scarf, and I can just fire off the following Dazzling Gleam. But he does switch into his Metagross, and we're going to weaken that thing, chip it down over time, little by little, putting it in range of a 2-hit KO from Thunderbolt, and eventually we'll be able to throw that off as well. So expecting his Virizion or something to come out on Swampert, I go out into my Nidoqueen, but he just goes out into his Vaporeon instead. Here he could probably throw off a Wish, but he actually just goes for Scald and reveals to not be a 2-hit KO. I don't necessarily need Nidoqueen, but I am going to save it just for fodder, and at the same time always have something to switch into Garchomp on a sack or Tornadus on a sack. Expecting his Virizion to come in and get the Wish, I'm actually going to make the prediction there, and I catch him with the Aerial Ace, and he brings in Garchomp to revenge kill me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stay in because I have the Aqua Berry, and I'm going to throw off a Leech Seed and get a little bit of health back, chip down the Garchomp a little bit more as he goes into his Tornadus Therian here. We are going to switch out to our Nidoqueen, expecting the following Flamethrower, but he does pull a switch out towards Tornadus and is able to pick us off with Hurricane. So now we're going to go back into our Tapu Koko here, and we can knock this Tornadus out with Thunderbolt, but he pulls a switch out into his Garchomp as we just go for Roost, predicting his switch. Now we're just going to fire off a Dazzling Gleam, as if he went into Metagross on the Gleam there, we would have chipped it down a little bit further. It would have taken rocks, it would have taken Gleam damage, and then we would, sack off. Probably go into Swampert and sack that bad boy off, as keeping Ferrothorn around for even Metagross and Vaporeon is really nice. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to fire off a Thunderbolt, try to weaken the Metagross, but what he does is he predicts our switch and he goes out into the Tornadus Therian, and that gives us a huge advantage as we're able to go for Thunderbolt here, and Meteor Mash into Bullet Punch shouldn't be able to knock us out, but I don't want to risk it. Tapu Koko has put in the work so far, and I don't want to let him go down. So I'm going to go into my Ferrothorn here, weaken this thing a little bit further as he goes for the Earthquake. We go for the Bulldoze, but it doesn't quite knock him out. So we're going to have to go into Swampert here. Don't want Ferrothorn going down yet because it's still really good against Vaporeon. He goes for the Zen Headbutt. We survive. We don't get flinched. Able to take out the Metagross here. And the idea, I suppose, at this point is to preserve differential. We go into Mega Heracross. Thinking that, after a Mega Evolution, Scald shouldn't be able to break our sub, but unfortunately it is able to break our sub. Vaporeon is really powerful, base 130 special attack, so that was a misplay on our part. We should have went for the Toxic on the first turn, and then we would have survived, 2 Scalds instead of going for sub or anything like that, and we would have gotten off big close combat damage there. Anyways, at this point, you guys can see that Tapu Koko can come in and just click Thunderbolt for the last kill. And Tapu Koko really put the team on its back this week and just really mauled through Bacon's team. But good game to Bacon. Good luck the rest of the season, my man. Coming into the game, we were sitting at 3-4, and Bacon was sitting at 4-3. The winner of this match took over like 5th place in the league, I believe. And we are able to come away with the victory. So both Bacon and I are sitting at 4-4 right now, and I believe Andy is also sitting at 4-4, but his differential is a little bit lower than ours. So a really nice tight race for the last couple spots in playoffs at this point. Sebi is sitting at 8-0 after week 8, which is fantastic, and we play him next week. I believe K. Kirby is sitting at 6-1. He hasn't played his week 8 match yet, and then the next two teams are 5-2. So really tough for us to catch up with those teams, but it's still possible. It's still possible. But yeah, that's going to be it. So let me know what you guys thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.